you doing, everybody? Fantasy Philosophy back for Week 8, Beasts or Busts. One of our favorite segments. We love to do it after every game is done and over with. We got a few guys this week that had pretty good breakout games, and we're going to tell you if we think they're beasts going forward or if they're just a bust and you want to stay away from them. So before we start, we've been out here for a while trying to get our videos out, trying to help everybody out, Ant, Kev, me, and Pete. So make sure you give us a subscription on YouTube at youtube.com/fantasyphilosophy. And check us out on Twitter at FNTSY Philosophy as well. All right, let's get into it real quick. Paul Richardson, top of the list for me this week. 6 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ant, is he a beast, Ant, or is he a bust, Ant?
Well, Paul, I'm going to say that this past game, he was a beast. However, going forward, I think he's a bust. I mean, he does have 5 touchdowns on the year, which is not too bad. But, he's not really getting too many yards. He did have a 100-yard game, and he did have 6 receptions. However, he only eclipsed 4 receptions. Oh, he only has like 2 or 3 receptions each game. He's not really relied on as much.
Right.
I feel like in that game, they were blanketing Doug Baldwin, so Russell Wilson had to just sling it elsewhere, and Paul Richardson just fell under a couple of those. So I just don't see this being consistent. He relies a lot on touchdowns, which is not a reliable statistic to rely on.
Yeah, sounds like Will Fuller. All right, Kev, beast or bust?
I'm kind of one Ant there. You got Tyler Lockett there, Doug Baldwin, Jimmy Graham. They spread it out. The volume really isn't there. He does have 5 touchdowns already, but like Ant said, in three games, he has 2 catches in each 3 of those games, and in 3 other games, he has 3 catches. So the volume is low. He's not really getting those targets. He does have some lucky touchdowns. He had a big game last week. That really was a shootout. But moving forward, I can't see him maintaining that production. I'd say a drop-off for Paul Richardson.
All right. Well, I think Paul Richardson is the poor man's Will Fuller, and this is why this guy can catch the football. If you ever watch him in any games, he is going up with those acrobatic catches. He shows flashes of Odell Beckham Jr., and I think this guy can go up and get any ball that you throw to him on 1v1 coverage. And now, with that Seattle run game being almost nothing, almost gone, out of the picture, I think that Russell Wilson's going to lean on the pass even more than he has. Look for Baldwin, Jimmy Graham. Tyler Lockett had a great game, but I think Paul Richardson becomes that X receiver. Doug plays in the slot, so I actually think he's a beast going forward. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Pete?
And I agree. All those names that you keep mentioning, you got Baldwin, you got Graham, you got Lockett. Those are just distractions for the defense. They don't I guarantee when they watch film, they do not focus on Paul Richardson. He's a beast. You got to look. He's got 5 touchdowns in 7 games played. And he's only got 1 game where he scored under 6 fantasy points. So that's a solid flex.
And standard scoring.
Standard scoring, not even PPR. So that's a solid flex at least. So, I mean, and obviously when Russell wants to go deep, we know he's the guy. I'm sure if you went on Madden and looked up his spectacular catch, it's got to be up there. I mean, this guy's making catches that we haven't seen before.
It should be up there, at least.
Yeah. It should be, right.
Yeah.
So, for me, I would probably consider playing him every week if I had somebody, especially somebody on a bye, somebody with a bad matchup, I'd plug him right in. And it doesn't matter who they're playing because he's not going to have the big defensive corner on him because, they overlook him.
Definitely.
If you're a fantasy owner, you could be playing this guy in your flex on a weekly basis, the way that offense is moving right now. But if you see, you see a trend with the Russell Wilson thing going down, he's not performing up to date, then you could start sitting him. But as of now, you could flex this guy, maybe even wide receiver too.
It's a hot
Definitely.
hand.
Yeah. All right, so Peter mentioned, Paul Richardson's Madden attributes maybe for a spectacular catch. Another guy that just had his Madden speed boosted up from 83 to 98 after last night's game. JUJU Smith-Schuster, after a 7 reception, 193 yards and 1 touchdown performance against the Detroit Lions. I mean, he's had 2 games that are pretty good back-to-back, and, now Martavis Bryant is kind of in the shadow now. So, I can't even imagine what that guy's thinking after last night. He probably hates his life now. But what do you guys think about JUJU going forward? Is he a beast or is he a bust?
JUJU Smith-Schuster rolls off the tongue. He's a beast. He's got a touchdown in 50% of the games he's played this year, which is pretty good odds. And I'm sure you watched the game and saw his 93-yard touchdown or 97-yard touchdown.
I think, yeah.
And even if you take that away, the guy still has nearly 100 yards, and that's still standard scoring. That's still almost 10 points. So if you take that big play away, but of course you're not going to take that away because he has that talent and that skill to make those types of plays. And we've seen that as the youngest player in the NFL, he is one of the best playmakers in the game. Mm-hmm. And Big Ben likes him. He communicates with him, as we've seen, and he's definitely the go-to guy. I like him, and I say he's a beast.
Yeah, I think he brings that fun factor back to the offense.
Sure,
you know,
celebrations.
You got
nice.
AB and Le'Veon who are doing their thing, but Juju brings that spark, that fun factor to the Steelers' offense. You know, they do have the great celebrations, but he gives them that energy to push them on and go forward. So even if he's not performing well in fantasy, he's performing well in football standpoint because he's bringing that whole team to another level. So I think he's a beast going forward. He's the wide receiver too in Pittsburgh, and they always have that guy, whether it be Martavis, Eli Rogers, JUJU Smith-Schuster. They always have him. He's worth a flex play at least, so I think he's a beast.
AB always going to get the attention.
Right, yeah. Always. What do you think of?
Absolutely. He's a young, charismatic guy. The team loves him. Tomlin loves him. Yeah. He gets the rock. The kid's got 400 yards, 4 touchdowns on 24 catches. I expect to see that trend continuing, especially with all this crap going on with Martavis Bryant. They don't like him there. It looks like he's on his way out. But if they start expanding Martavis's role again, then you can see some production decrease. But I don't really see that happening as of now. So you got to play this kid right now.
Definitely. And agree, disagree?
Agree. He's a beast. 20 years old. Rides a bike. Doesn't even have his license yet. I think he's taking his road test soon.
He's working on it.
He's working on it. Dude, he's a great young athlete. I'd roll with him.
All right, real quick. Do you think the Steelers trade Martavis Bryant this week, yes or no?
Yes.
Kev?
I would say no.
Yeah.
I hope so. It'd be pretty exciting.
I mean, why not?
It'd be pretty exciting. Yeah, why not?
What do they
I would like.
Get
him
the
to.
drama out. Get the drama out.
Exactly.
And get something for it.
I agree. I hope to see that he goes on and maybe does bigger and better somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Travis Benjamin, who we had in this segment last week when he had his punt return for a touchdown and that additional touchdown. Had about 12 fantasy points last week. This week, 5 for 63 and a touchdown. Another 12 fantasy point week. We all called him a bust last week because, you know, you can't trust that punt return. You can't. And although he did run his way into a safety this week, he still put up good
You don't
fantasy.
lose points for that.
You don't lose points. So he did have another great fantasy day. Is he the number one receiver in LA, and is he a beast or is he a
gross
bust?
when you say it, man. That just sounds nasty.
And what do you think?
I'm gonna say no. He's kind of a fluke. Yeah, past 2 weeks has a touchdown, big whoop. He's kind of a boomer bust kind of guy, and I would lean more towards the bust. Not reliable. You're only gonna start him when your whole team is on a bye in your flex spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're really desperate for a wideout or a flex spot, you play this kid. But the Chargers have Keenan Allen. They rely on that run game with Melvin Gordon. Hunter Henry. Antonio Gates is still there. Tyrell Williams is also a deep threat.
Yeah.
Benjamin, it's a toss-up. Right now he's playing well. He's getting those deep touchdowns, but anything can happen with this guy. So don't expect to see much more coming out of him, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Keenan Allen drew that attention from Malcolm Butler this week, who is, you know, maybe one of the shining stars on that Patriots secondary. So Travis Benjamin was able to get open, able to have his opportunities, but I think going forward, I agree. I think he's a bust. I really do. Pete, what do you think?
See, the funny thing is that he excels against the better defenses. Against Denver, 10-plus points. Against KC at the beginning of the year when they were supposed to be a good defense, 11 points. Denver, again, 16. And New England, not very good, but he excelled against them. But they've been better lately. I feel like he's kind of a sneaky, the little secret weapon kind of guy.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of Deshaun Jackson in a way. Just because he's got that speed, he can return punts, and, you know, one catch and he's relevant. But for me, I'm still going to have to say he's a bust. If you look at his receptions, from week 1 to week 8, he's got 3, 1, 5, 2, 2, 0, 1, and 5. So that's just production that you can't rely on. Yeah. And don't even say Will Fuller here, because it's if you're putting up 0 catches and 1 catches, he's a special teams guy.
Yeah.
Who's just earned his way onto the offense, and it's just
that's
tough schedule coming up. I don't like it.
All right, stay away from Travis Benjamin. The next guy, Pretty big game against Cincinnati last week. 12 for 121 and a touchdown. Jack Doyle coming out of nowhere
Jack Doyle rules.
after a string of pretty poor games. And is he a beast or is he a bust going forward?
Honestly, I would say he's in the middle. I like his last 3 games. He's had 7 catches, 6 catches, and then 12 catches. That's a lot of looks. It really is. In an offense that really isn't hitting on all cylinders, he's one of the guys that they kind of rely on, especially with T.Y. Hilton always being blanketed and not being able to escape. And he's got 50 yards, 44 yards, 121 yards. It's like, I would say he's just a reliable guy. I wouldn't say he's a boom. I wouldn't say he's a bust. He's just kind of in the middle, maybe a bye-week tight end play. You could still roll with him week to week, but he's just not spectacular. And you know what? Honestly, the tight end position is not spectacular either. So
Definitely.
he's just a mediocre kind of tight end that you could start.
I would agree on that to an extent. He's definitely not a bust. I think he's on his way towards being a beast. Jacoby Brissett, I think he's just a safety blanket. He definitely gets his volume there, and Jacoby needs him. I would definitely play Jack Doyle if you don't have a good tight end or if you're lacking any like big points in that area. Play Jack Doyle. You have nothing to lose. He's going to get some consistent volume there and maybe a touchdown here or there. So he's a good guy to play at tight end.
All right, I agree, I disagree 100% there. Jack Doyle, if you own him, sell him right away. And this is
That's not a bad
why.
idea, though.
No, you could definitely sell him too.
Definitely.
Get
The
some
Colts
value.
have one of the toughest schedules going forward. They may not even win a game. Listen to this. Houston, Pittsburgh, bye. Tennessee, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Denver, Baltimore, Houston. There's a chance they could not win a game. We all know Andrew Luck's not coming back. We knew that from week 4 that he wasn't going to play. Jack Doyle, you know what? He doesn't wow me, all right? He gets his catches, he gets his targets. Brissett likes him. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
He's happy.
Brissett likes
I wish he liked
Brissett
T.Y.
likes
Hilton because then they would, then he would be fantasy relevant again. But
Yeah.
I don't like Jack Doyle. Don't pick him up. Don't start him. He's a bust.
Okay.
See, for me, I wouldn't listen to a word you just said. Because if you look at the top 3 tight ends in receptions, he's number 3, tied with Zach Ertz. Think about Zach Ertz and what he's done for you if you own him. If Jack Doyle has the same amount of receptions, you got to think that sooner or later he's going to be putting up some numbers.
You know what stat I want to see, Pete? How many of those receptions are red zone targets?
Now let me just
Red zone
continue.
receptions.
Let me just continue.
Plus,
The
didn't he have
last
12
3 weeks,
last game?
the last
That's
3
kind of
weeks,
inflating
he's
his
had 6+ receptions. You got a young quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, who likes to move around in the pocket and looks for that big body receiver going across the middle for a dump off, whatever it is. He's going to be giving it to Jack Doyle. And, you said he's got a tough schedule. Who cares if they don't? I mean, I'm a fantasy owner. They could lose every single game. I don't care. But Jack Doyle, playing against the top 5 defense, Cincinnati, and he puts up over 100 yards and a touchdown. So obviously, it doesn't matter for the defenses, whoever it is. He's the guy who's going to get volume. He's the guy that the quarterback's going to look for. And, Brissett, if Brissett likes him, that's huge. He's the guy who's going to be throwing the ball. I like that. And the way the tight end position stacks up, if you're getting this kind of volume out of a tight end, you got to play him just because of the rest of the tight ends in the league are obviously not up to par with that.
Definitely. So there's something to think
So
about.
he's a beast.
Pete thinks he's a beast.
Well, you
I
could
think
sell
he's
him
a
with that
bust.
schedule coming up.
Yeah.
Take these numbers he has and sell him if you need to.
Definitely. So last guy here on our list, Alex Collins, played not in London. Thursday night he
yeah.
played. He had 18 for 113 yards and 30 receiving against Miami. Is he a beast or a bust? Kev, we'll start with you.
Buck Allen, man, Alex Collins.
It's
I
RB.
think he's the guy there now. He looks good when he runs. He breaks tackles. I think Tony Romo, my guy, was talking something about his tackle breaking ability. He's up there with Kareem Hunt in most broken tackles this year. I think the Ravens are going to feed him the rock this year, and he's going to continue to trend upwards in the fantasy running back rankings. I would definitely play him, at least in your flex if you own the guy.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a beast. He gets the volume, but he also gets the yards per carry. He is only, I believe, second in the NFL in yards per carry to Kareem Hunt. I believe Kareem Hunt has around 6, which is unbelievable. But Alex Collins has around 5.7. So you can't really knock that production. I say he's a beast going forward.
I would say he's a beast as well. Like Kev said, Tony Romo was pretty much he was all in on Alex Collins. He's got great moves, great vision. He only got the ball 18 times. I mean, that is a decent amount, but that's the highest he's ever gotten it. And he closed out the game for Baltimore. They had a huge lead. Miami knows they're running the ball, and he's still eating up yards. This kid's good. He's got raw talent. He's young. I think they're gonna roll with this guy for the bell cow role in that offense, and then with those dink and dump offs to Buck Allen, and it'll be like a 1-2 punch, and I think it'll be good for the Ravens.
All right, Pete. Last word. Beast or bust?
Bust. I'm going against all three of you.
All right, one or two.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Surprise.
So, last week, Buck
Yeah,
Allen,
he's got a Buck guy here.
17 carries for Buck Allen. And Buck Allen, if you watch the game, he gets the red zone looks. He gets the red zone carries, and they like to dump it off to him in the red zone. He's in.
Except when he fumbles in the red zone.
Look at Alex Collins. He's had fumbling problems, too, which is probably why Buck Allen had that role. Okay. So we'll see what happens now, because they both got fumbling
But moving
problems.
forward, do you want Collins in your lineup or Buck?
Frankly, I really don't want either one.
But if you had to pick,
If I had to
between the
pick,
two.
I would go, honestly, Allen. Because
can't.
we know that the Ravens are a pass-heavy team, and it looks like Joe Flacco will be back. And the next 3 games coming up, besides the Packers, which the next 4 games, not including the Packers, all top 10 rush defenses. The Titans, 10th. Houston, 9th. And Detroit are the 7th ranked against the run. So those are some tough matchups. Alex Collins... where else has he done good? I mean, he's been in the league for a while, and he hasn't done anything. I feel like it's a fluke. He's a bust for me. And West coming back, Terrence West coming back. That's a crowded backfield on a pass-heavy offense. And I think the game flow really helped him out. Yeah. I mean, if you win a game 40-0, of course you're going to be running the ball, and that's why both running backs got that many carries. So I think we'll have to see going forward, but for me, he's a bust.
Gotcha.
And that's a good point. If you're looking for maybe a guy that could have a bigger game because the Ravens are playing a tough schedule, they're going to be passing the ball a lot, play Buck. But if you want something consistent, because Collins will get the ball more, he'll get more carries, play Collins. So it's kind of your choice.
For sure, a sell-high candidate for me.
Yeah,
definitely.
this week, yeah.
So we'll go through our buy-sell a little bit later in the week, but that's it for us for Beast or Bust. Hope you enjoyed our Week 8 edition. Remember to follow us on Twitter at FNTSY Philosophy. And check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/fantasyphilosophy. Ant, Kev, Pete, thank you. Thank you guys. Have a great week.